A lot of news. This is Frank DeMora with the Last Chronicles of Planet Earth, giving you another report this afternoon concerning the news that is pouring out of Israel and what is happening in Israel. And so this is a continuation from my first post that I put up today earlier. This is new information as it pours through. Now, what I wanted to tell you is, before I put up this news, I was in an emergency conference call, called in with David Siegel, the Consul General of Israel, who was in Los Angeles. And he was giving us the blow-by-blow description of what is going on in Israel under Operation Pillar of Defense, which I've been reporting on for the last couple of days. Now, before I get to the news, I want to tell you what I wrote down from that conference that he wanted people to understand and know. Now, he has direct relations, obviously, right to Israel, because he is the Consul General of Israel. So what David wanted us to know is we're going through the first 3 days now of this pillar of defense. And he wanted it to let everybody know that this is the first time in 50 years that rocket fire has actually hit in Jerusalem, and this is a big deal. Now, according to what David said, and I did report this yesterday, so I know that all this information is accurate and the truthful information, the Israelis only have 15 seconds to get to some place, some shelter, to avoid these numerous rockets that are being poured down on Israel. Now, according to David, he said in the last 3 days there have been 600 rockets that have fallen on Israel. That's 200 a day, or 20 rockets an hour. Now, he said that the good news that we have is that there was a Senate resolution here in the United States, and that Senate resolution passed 100-0, everybody backing Israel as far as this new Operation Pillar of Defense. Now, what he said in this conference I found very interesting, because he said these are the people who are standing by Israel. And take note to this. Number 1, Canada. Number 2, Australia. And number 3, the European Union. Now, when you go into Ezekiel chapter 38, which I put up on my earlier post today, and you can go watch that video from November 16th, I show you the scriptures from Ezekiel chapter 38 and 39, where the young lions are in the theater when this Ezekiel war breaks out, and it's the exact same people that the Consul General says that we are backing Israel. And so everything, I'm telling you people, everything is lining up exactly as we see it in the scriptures. Now, he said also the moment of truth. And what he said is, if they don't stop the rockets, and then he paused and he went on to a different subject, but we know what the moment of truth is. Because the moment of truth is, if they do not stop the rockets, then Israel's troops that they're mounting up, and I'm going to give you a lot of information about this that just poured in over the net, then they're going to go in physically with their tanks, and it is going to be a full-blown war over there. Now, according to what Mr. Siegel said, he said the American material from the Iron Dome, this system has been 90% successful in shooting down the rockets. There's 150 rockets that were shot down by this Iron Dome. And of course, a lot of the other rockets, they didn't bother shooting down because they knew that they were falling in an area where there wasn't any people. Now, he also said that the Hamas is sending rockets on the Israeli citizens during the rush hours, and they know exactly what they're doing, and they're trying to entice Israel into a fight. And they've placed the missiles that they're launching in schools, in hospitals, the hospital areas, and neighborhoods where the kids are actually playing. And so the Hamas actually knows. Now, many of you who have been coming to my post realize that I've already told you many of the things that the Consul General is now stating. But I'm taking all my information from what the Lord shows us as far as what's going to happen to prophecy, and I'm reporting on what I know is going to happen based on this, And this is exactly what the Council General has come up with, and it doesn't surprise me at all. So he also said that they needed support from Americans, and they needed the voice from Americans, because he understands that the world view is going to be negative on Israel if Israel has to go in and physically go in with the tanks. And he also gave some statistics here. He said that 2/3 in a poll of Americans supported Israel, but that 1/3 of the students, only 1/3 of the students are pro-Israel. So the generation behind us, the present generation, or the younger generation right now, they are moving in the direction of Zechariah 12:3, where all of the people around the world will be coming against Israel. And I will just tell you, I know that America right now looks like they're supporting Israel, but you will see in the near future this will drop off. The friendship of Israel and the United States, they will drop off, because that's what we were told in the scripture under Zechariah 12:3 and Joel chapter 3 verse 2, when all of the people will be coming against Israel. So he also said that recently the jets, the IDF jets, have hit underground tunnels that had a half a ton of explosives that have been brought in those tunnels, and they are not going to stop. So let's go on with the news now. That was from David Siegel, the Consul General, and I'm just asking you now that you're going to get this information tonight, but please, I would advise you to go to the BBC News tonight and watch the BBC News, because the BBC News is pretty good about giving a lot of the information that's coming out of Israel, more so than ABC, NBC, and those other affiliates. So right now I want to show you what Hamas has the capability of doing and what they have been doing. This is the Hamas rocket threat. You see the heavy mortar, the range, the 9.7 kilometers, and you can see the range right here in the different areas where they've been hitting. Now, the latest news was the Jerusalem, according to Siegel, took a hit today. And again, he said this was the first time in 50 years that this has happened. This is a major, major event. Once you start hitting Jerusalem, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has no alternative but to go in and stop them completely, which means the tanks will roll into the Gaza Strip. But I'll let you take a look at all the different areas with the different weaponry. They're starting to use the weaponry, and they're using other rockets that have been flown in from Iran, and you're going to see how important that is. So let me go to the first article, Missile Lands in Jerusalem. It's going to be a very quick, let me go right here. It's just going to be a very quick one, but I just want to show you, I'm not just saying these things, it's being reported. Missile lands in the Jerusalem area. And of course, I was on the phone with Siegel at this conference that we just got off of, and he was called away on an emergency. So I'm not too sure what's going to happen. We never even finished the conference call because he was carried away from that conference call because of this emergency. So I know in my heart things are going to get worse, because I've been saying this for a long time. The Hezbollah, the Hamas, the Fatah, and all of those other peoples, the Palestinians, are not going to stop trying to conquer Israel. So let's move on. We're going to go into the second article that I wanted to show you today. And this is Islamic Jihad, in case of ground offensive, will send rockets north of Tel Aviv. And when they start doing this, man, you are inviting, and of course I'm going to give you some information about this, you're inviting the war to escalate. You're not doing things that are going to decrease the violence between these two nations. So it says a senior source of the Islamic Jihad military wing threatened that if Israel launched a ground offensive in the Gaza Strip, the organization will launch missiles towards city north of Tel Aviv. Now you're starting to get in deeper into the heart of Israel, and when you do that, then you definitely cause, see what I'm talking about here, here's Tel Aviv. When they start doing this out of the range, then you'll know there's some serious, serious repercussions that are going to take place because of this. So let me go now, because this is really, really important. I did cover this, but I have new people that are coming to my website, and you need to know what we're seeing here is something that I've been warning about, and it's coming to fruition. Let me show you. Let me go right to this article, and it's called Column 1. And Column 1, what they do here is it gives a list of two things, primarily two things that the Hamas had planned to do, or the Palestinian, their war plans. That's what they call it, war plans. And it came to fruition, or at least it was brought out in 2011, and they're using this same exact plan today. Now, in the heart of the matter here, you'll see, let me scroll down here. And what I did is, let's see here. There's a two-prong. All right, here, I'm sorry, it took me a little longer to get to it. But you'll see the purposes of these war plans right here. It says, these then are the corridors of the Palestinians' war plans. So you can see, I'm sorry, it took a little bit longer to find it, but I knew that it was here. The war plans that were put out by the Palestinians for the year 2011. Now, they put it out in 2011, but there's no question in my mind that this plan that they put out then is now going into effect right now, and we're watching it develop on television. Hamas will launch an illegal missile war. What do you think is happening right now? It is definitely a war trying to entice Israel. Israel, what is Israel going to do? Are they just going to allow these missiles to keep coming over into their land? They can't. They have to move. And so this is part of their war plans, and it's been carried out. So the illegal missile war to provoke an IDF campaign in Gaza. And that's exactly where they're going to now. So it says Iran, Syria, Hezbollah, Turkey, and the UN, and a vast array of the NGOs and the leftist governments from Norway to Brazil will support its illegal war. Now Fatah, which is another one of those Palestinian groups that hate Israel, will escalate its political war. Its campaign will be supported by the US, the EU, the UN, and the vast arrays of NGOs and the leftist governments. Now, so far, the United States and the EU have been supporting Israel, but things may change if Gaza gets really entrenched by the tanks and we see the news media pick up what Israel's doing to the Palestinians. Things can change very, very rapidly. But get this. The purpose of the two campaigns, which complement one another and which will likely culminate in the UN in September, is to weaken the Israeli military and politically, with the shared purpose of destroying it in the fullness of time. So what do we have here? We have, let's start the war plans. How do we go to war with Israel? Because they want to go to war with Israel. They want to drag everybody into this war to try to get rid of Israel. So their plan was to have an illegal launching of missiles, rockets against the Israelis. That's what they're doing right now. And of course, they're going to go to the UN, as you see right here, and with the final purpose of destroying Israel. So let's go back and we'll pick up some articles here. And this, again, November the 16th, I haven't reported on this today. Lebanon demonstration denounces Israeli offensive in the Gaza. Israeli kicked off by the Rashidara in the Palestinian refugee camp in South Lebanon's Tyre to condemn the latest Israeli offensive in the Hamas-controlled Gaza Strip. So is the plan of the PLO working? You better believe it is. We're starting already to get feedback from these different factions coming against Israel, and they're going to be yelling at the UN to do something, or other countries. A number of the Palestinian refugees in the area participated in the Friday rally, which was called by the Islamic Hamas movement. And also religious scholars and representatives of the Palestinian factions and the Lebanese parties joined the demonstration, the national news agency reported. The escalating conflict between Israel and Hamas, which has so far killed 18 Palestinians and 3 Israelis, has drawn expressions of deep concern internationally and sparked anger at the, get this, in the Arab and Muslim world. So tensions are notching up against Israel. We know, obviously, Zechariah 12:3, that's exactly what we're told. Everybody's going to be coming against them. So here we have the Lebanese, you see it down here, the Lebanese Communist Party General Secretary Khalid Hadid delivered a statement slamming the Arab League for not taking any initiative against the Israeli attack in Gaza. He also criticized some Arab regimes for not cutting ties with the enemy of Israel completely. He says Egypt and Jordan are the only Arab countries that have signed peace treaties with Israel. Now, that being said, the treaty right now between Israel and Egypt is falling apart. We already seen that. I gave you in a couple of my posts recently, I showed you how Egypt has mentioned and stated that Israel is their #1 enemy. So we know where the peace agreement went to. It went right down the toilet. So when it comes to Jordan now, Jordan is in the mix, and they're in the fray because they're in rioting, and the rioting and the escalation of trying to get rid of their king is getting worse, as I'm about to show you here in a second. Now here we go, the Lebanese. Remember the 2 war plans? Let's go to the UN. Let's bring everybody against Israel. Get this. The Lebanese speaker calls for a global campaign pressuring Israel. Lebanon's parliamentary speaker sent letters to his counterparts worldwide to push for a global campaign of legislative bodies to pressure Israel into ceasing its attacks on the Gaza. So the war plans are coming into effect, and there's no denying this. At least in my heart, there is no denying this. I could see it coming from a mile away. Now, take a look at this. Barak calls, and this is Ehud Barak, who is the defense minister there in Israel, calls up more reserves as pockets hit near the rockets hit past the Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. So now he's called up. There was a couple days ago, they were calling up 30,000 of these reserve soldiers. That number has escalated to 75,000 reserve soldiers. In other words, they're getting ready for a full-blown campaign. So just keep these things in mind, and keep in mind that the Psalm 83 war looks, every day, it looks closer and closer to us. So let's continue on with the news. Jordan's king cancels the British visit amid protest. Now, like I said, Egypt, they went into protesting last year, the end of last year. What happened? Their Mubarak leader, the president, was thrown out of office. What did they get? They got a tyrant leader, Morsi, the Muslim Brotherhood, who their charter states that they want to destroy Israel, and Morsi's government wants to call, is putting into effect in the process, Sharia law, and under Sharia law they got to get rid of Israel. So we know where that's going. Now the same thing is happening in Jordan right now. It's escalating. It says Jordan's King Abdullah II has created or canceled a visit to Britain that he was due to make next week. The British foreign minister confirmed on Friday, amid unprecedented protest by Jordanians calling for him to quit. So the Arab uprising that started over a year ago hasn't finished. And I believe what's happening is the Lord, who has shown us what to expect from Psalm 83, what all of those nations, specific nations that will come against Israel in the last days. Jordan is one of those nations. They have been friendly with Israel, but just as you saw with Egypt go the way of a friendly relationship between Egypt and the Israelis, I believe you're going to see the same thing happen with Jordan And yeah, I believe that it will happen fairly soon. At least it shows that the demonstrations are picking up. Thousands of these demonstrators are in the mix right now today as I'm giving this. So there's a lot going on in the Middle East, but that's not all. Look at this. Russia will back the Egyptian efforts to end Israeli aggression. Putin. So why is this important? Because Russia is going to lead the attack against Israel. Are you getting the picture here? Russia is going to join forces with Iran. In other words, obviously, if you read Ezekiel chapter 38 and 39, you'll know that Russia actually leads this war against Israel and will bring Iran as one of their allies, along with Turkey and the rest of those that are mentioned. And of course, I give you all of those nations in my post today. All you have to do is go to my post and read the first post of November 16th. But it says, Russian President Vladimir Putin says that his country will back Egyptian efforts to put an end to the Israeli aggression in the besieged Gaza Strip. Now let me tell you what to expect in the future, because God has already given us the blueprints. When the war takes place, the Psalm 83 war, and it certainly looks like we're going in that direction right now. And Egypt, one of Russia's friends, is destroyed as they come together to try to get rid of Israel. You're going to see the offshoot of what happens in the Psalm 83 war, and you may be looking at the man right here who will launch that attack against Israel, which will end up being culminating the Ezekiel chapter 38 war. In a telephone conversation with the Egyptian president, Mohamed Morsi, on Friday, Putin said Russia's plan to support Cairo's efforts directed at normalizing the situation in the Palestinian territory, the Kremlin said in a statement. So obviously he's definitely on the wrong side here, and we know that Morsi has already placed Israel on notice that they're the number one enemy. So now that you see Israel having to ford off, if you will, what Russia is going to be doing in the future, and linking up with the Egyptians. So if you know, again, I keep saying this, but if you know what the Lord says specifically in those nations, then you'll know the nations like Egypt and Syria and Russia, they're all going to be coming together, and they will end up fulfilling Bible prophecy with no doubt about it. And of course, let's end this with a positive note. Why is all this so important? Well, if you know Scripture, and the Lord said that these things were coming, and He gave it to us so that we would understand what was going on, and that we would be ready for the Lord to come back, that's what this is good for. It's only good for those who love Jesus Christ, those that are waiting for the Messiah to come back, because all of these signs of these last days events is a clue to us that the Lord is near, even at the doors, just like He said in Matthew chapter 24. We can't tell you, and I don't believe that anybody is going to be able to tell you the exact day that this war will start. It could happen tonight, it could happen tomorrow, it could happen 2 months from now. Whenever it happens, we do know that this prophecy will be fulfilled. And then after the Psalm 83 war, of which Egypt is going to be involved in, we will see Russia that will come down on Israel with Iran and the rest of those countries. So when we look at the news and we see how Russia is going to now making moves, and how Iran has been called in to throw it off, what's going on? They're asking Iran to come in and fight. So every one of these signs are connected to Bible prophecy. And thank you for allowing me to bring you this news. Any new news that comes up, I'm going to dispatch it as soon as I can so that you'll understand exactly what's going on. Thanks again, and God bless you all.